18 years had passed since Commander Jake Taylor left the stars behind. Now, he lived a quiet life on Earth, alone, forgotten, and haunted by memories he couldn't explain. His old space medals gathered dust in a wooden box. His spaceship gear was locked in a closet, untouched since the day he retired. And that night, the one night still haunted him. It happened during a peace mission to the distant planet Valeria, a mission meant to build trust between humans and aliens. But something strange had happened. Something personal. He never told anyone. Not his crew. Not the government. Not even himself, really. He had always believed it was just a dream. A side effect of the alien food. Or maybe a strange hallucination from the planet's atmosphere. But that was 18 years ago. And tonight, everything changed. Jake sat in his small apartment. The lights dimmed. Storm rumbled outside the window. He was drinking tea, flipping through an old digital map of the galaxy, out of habit more than anything else. His days were long, his nights even longer. Then, a beep echoed from the corner of the room. Beep, beep, beep. His old cum device, the one from his military days, suddenly came to life. That was impossible. It had been dead for years. Jake frowned. What the hell? He got up and walked to the desk. The screen blinked with a strange blue light. Lines of alien code flashed quickly across it, followed by a single sentence. In English, "She is your daughter. Go meet her." Jake's hand froze above the screen. What? He tapped the message. More symbols appeared, star coordinates. They were not random. He recognized the sector immediately. Valeria, the planet from his last mission. The room felt colder now. His breath was shallow. A million thoughts ran through his head. Was this a joke? A trap? A mistake? Sat down slowly. Staring at the screen, his fingers hovered over the reply button but didn't move. Memories returned. Like waves, the peace talks, the glowing trees, her face, the alien woman with silver eyes and skin that shimmered under the moonlight, her voice calm and curious, her smile warm, human-like. That night had felt so real, so strange, so distant. He whispered to himself, "No way. It wasn't real. That couldn't have happened. The message was here. And the coordinates didn't lie." Jake leaned back in his chair. "Daughter." He whispered again. "Mine." The screen blinked once more. A soft hum came from the device. Then a face appeared. She was older now, but he recognized her. Instantly, Soraya, the alien woman from Valeria. Her silver eyes locked onto the screen. Her expression was serious, but there was a hint of sadness too. "Jake Taylor," she said calmly. "You must come. She needs you." His mouth went dry. "You're real." Soraya nodded slowly. "You left, but she was born. She is strong. She is lost. She is yours." Jake stared at the screen. His hands trembled. "Come to Valeria, come, meet your daughter." The screen flickered, and then the message ended. The room was silent again, except for the storm outside. Jake sat frozen. The image of Soraya burned into his mind. The message repeated in his head like a heartbeat. "She is your daughter. Come, meet her." He stood up, walked to the closet, and opened it for the first time in years. Inside, his old flight suit, dusty but still strong. A photo of his crew, a medal for bravery. And tucked deep in the back, a data chip marked Valeria. Jake took a deep breath. Whatever happened that night, it was real, and now a girl, his daughter, was waiting for him on a planet. Far beyond the stars? But why now? Why, after 18 years? And what had she been told? He didn't have the answers. Not yet. But one thing was certain, he was going back. Asterisk Soraya's face returns. Her voice is soft, but urgent. "She needs you, Jake." Asterisk Ake Taylor hadn't stepped inside a spaceship in nearly 2 decades. The last time he flew through the stars. He had promised himself, never again. Too much blood. Too many secrets. Too many memories. But now, things were different. He sat alone in his old garage, the heavy metal door shut behind him. Outside, the wind howled through the darkness. Inside, dust floated through the air like forgotten ghosts. In front of him stood a relic from the past, his private shuttle, the Black Raven. It was small, stealthy, and illegal. No one was supposed to know it even existed. Jake had built it from spare parts after retiring, not for travel, but as a way to hold on to something. It's a piece of who he used to be. Now that piece might be the only way to reach his daughter. He stood silently for a long time, just staring at the ship. His heart was heavy with questions. What would she look like? Would she believe him? Would she hate him? He didn't know. But one thing was clear. He had to go. Inside the ship, everything was still functional, surprisingly. He ran his hand across the smooth metal panels, wiping away years of dust. Then he opened the main console. The ship's AI system flickered to life. "Welcome back, Commander Taylor." The voice was familiar, calm, male, and slightly sarcastic. His old AI companion, Jake, smiled slightly. "Hello, Eli. It's been 6,574 days since your last launch. Did Earth finally bore you to death?" Jake chuckled. "Something like that. Destination?" Jake paused, then typed the coordinates from the message. "Valeria?" Eli's voice changed. "Jake, are you sure?" Jake didn't answer. "You remember what happened last time, right? It's hostile territory, no diplomatic protections. Could die?" Jake leaned back in the chair. "Yeah, but maybe I've already been dead. For 18 years. The AI was silent for a moment. Understood. Prepping for launch. As the engines powered up, Jake felt the ship rumble beneath him. It was like waking up an old beast. His hands moved quickly over the controls. It all came back: the training, the reflexes, the feeling of slipping out of gravity's grip. The launch pad opened. The ground beneath him shook. A loud roar echoed through the metal walls. Then, with a burst of light, the Black Raven rose into the sky. Space. Cold. Silent. Infinite. As the Earth disappeared behind him, "What?" Jake felt something shift in his chest. A strange mix of fear and hope. For the first time in years, he had a purpose. But this wasn't a mission for glory. This was for family, hours later. The ship approached the edge of known space. Eli interrupted the silence. "We are now entering the Valerian sector. Warning. No human vessels have legally entered this space in 15 years. Jake nodded. "Then let's be the first." Suddenly, alarms began to beep. The screen flashed red. "Strange energy field ahead," Eli warned. "It's not natural." Before Jake could react, the ship shook violently. Lights flickered. Control systems blinked out. "System override detected. External forces pulling us in." Jake gripped the controls. "Can we break free?" "Negative. We're being dragged. Somewhere." The ship was pulled toward a swirling blue rift, like a tear in space itself. It wasn't a wormhole. It wasn't a black hole. It was something else. Something alive. Jake tried to shout, but the light engulfed the ship. Everything went white silence when Jake opened his eyes. He was no longer in the cockpit. He was floating weightless in a strange glowing chamber. Filled with soft lights and strange symbols on the walls. Was he dreaming? "Hello?" He called out. No answer then, from the mist. Shadow approached. It was tall, elegant, familiar. Familiar. Soraya, she stepped forward slowly. Her silver skin glowed softly, her eyes full of history. "You came," she said quietly. Jake blinked. "Where? Where am I?" "Safe for now," Soraya answered. "We had to pull your ship through the gate." Jake looked around. "Why now? Why, after all these years?" Soraya's expression was calm, but tired. She's becoming more powerful. Too powerful. She needs balance and answers. Jake's breath caught in his throat. "It's really mine?" Soraya stepped closer. "She has your heart, your stubbornness, your spirit. She needs you, Jake, before it's too late." Jake swallowed hard. Too late for what? Soraya turned away. Her voice was low now, serious. She's beginning to ask questions about who she is and why we lied. Jake's eyes narrowed. "You told her I was dead?" Soraya nodded slowly. It was safer. Jake clenched his jaw, wanted to be angry, but deep down, he understood. And I guess it's time she knew the truth. Soraya looked back at him. You ready? He nodded. Bring me too. Her asterisk, Soraya, opened a glowing doorway. Beyond it, a large chamber, and a young voice shouting in anger. I don't want more lies. Want to know who I really am? Jake froze at the sound. That voice. That was her. His daughter. Asterisk, the doorway opened with a low hum, like the soft breath of a sleeping beast. Jake Taylor stepped through the glowing archway behind Soraya, and for the first time in 18 years, he set foot on Valeria again. The air was cool, light, and filled with a strange scent, like flowers that only bloomed under moonlight. The sky above wasn't black like Earth's space, shimmered with soft colors as if painted by hand. 3 moons hovered in the distance, casting silver shadows across the land. Everything was different. And yet, something felt familiar. Memories flickered in his mind, the glowing trees, the quiet lakes, the peaceful silence, and her. But now, there was something else in the air. Tension. They walked through tall crystal walls, made of living stone that shifted like liquid. Strange symbols glowed softly as Soraya passed, responding to her presence. Alien guards watched Jake from every corner. Their armor was sleek, their expressions cold. One of them whispered, "That's the human?" Another said, "He looks weak." Jake kept his head up, but inside, he felt like a stranger, invader, and maybe a father who didn't deserve a second chance. Asterisk. They entered a large chamber with floating lights and soft blue fog swirling across the floor. At the center stood a young woman, tall, fierce, and glowing. She moved like a storm held inside a cage. Her hair was jet black, but shimmered with silver strands under the moonlight. Her eyes, not fully human, not fully alien, burned like twin stars. Around her, objects floated in midair, rocks, crystals, even books. Without touching anything, she was controlling them. Jake whispered, "Is that?" Soraya nodded. "Yes, that's Lyra." Jake couldn't speak. He'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, but no imagination could prepare him for this. She was powerful, beautiful, angry. Lyra spun around sharply, sensing their presence. Her voice cut through the silence. "I said I didn't want to see anyone right now?" "Aye!" Soraya stepped forward gently. "Lyra, there's someone you need to meet." "Aye!" Lyra's eyes locked onto Jake. Instantly, the floating objects crashed to the ground with a loud thud. She frowned. "That's a human." Jake opened his mouth. What is he doing here?" Lyra snapped. "This is a joke, right?" Her voice wasn't just angry. It was hurt. Jake tried to stay calm. "My name is Jake. I came a long way too." "I don't care who you are," she interrupted. "Humans lie. They kill. They take. It's all they do." Soraya's voice was soft. "Lyra, you told me my father was dead?" She shouted, stepping back. Her energy flared. The lights in the room flickered. Jake's heart sank. He took one step forward. "I didn't know. I swear I only found out a few days ago." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Found out what?" Jake hesitated. "This wasn't how he planned it. This wasn't how you met your daughter for the first time." He wanted to tell her everything. But now, the truth felt like fire sitting on his tongue. Lyra turned to Soraya, voice trembling. "Why is he here? Why now?" Soraya walked slowly toward her. "Because you deserve to know the truth about who you are and where you come from." Lyra crossed her arms. "And what? You just bring in a human stranger and expect me to believe anything he says?" Jake sighed. "I'm not here to force anything. I just wanted to see you, to understand." Lyra stepped closer, just a few feet away now. She looked into his eyes. For a moment, the anger dropped. "Do you even know what it's like?" she said softly. "To grow up not knowing who you are? To feel different every single day? To look in the mirror and see someone broken?" Jake's voice cracked. "No, I don't. but I know what it's like to lose someone you didn't even know you had." For a second, they just stared at each other. Father, daughter, strangers, bound by blood, divided by time. But the moment didn't last. A loud alarm echoed through the chamber. Red lights blinked from the walls. One of the guards ran in. "Soraya, a vessel has entered orbit. Human military code." Jake's head snapped toward Soraya. "They followed me." "No," looked tense. "No, they were waiting." Lyra stepped back. "More humans? This is why we never should have trusted them," she stormed toward the exit. "I don't care who you are. I don't need you. Stay away from me." Jake called out, "Lyra, wait," but she was gone. The room was silent again. Jake turned to Soraya. "It just got worse." Soraya nodded. "We have very little time. She has even less trust." Jake looked out at the alien sky. "Then we better earn it before it's too late." Asterisk in a distant view from space. A large Earth military ship approached Valaria, slow and quiet. Inside the ship, human voice crackled through a headset. "Subject HYB001 located. Prepare for capture." Asterisk Lyra ran. Her feet moved fast across the glowing stone floors of the Valerian temple, her long dark coat sweeping behind her like a wave of shadow. Energy pulsed around her, wild, unstable. Doors hissed open at her command. Lights flickered as she passed. Her mind was a storm. That human, that stranger. He said nothing, yet his eyes spoke everything. She didn't know what made her angrier, that he stood there in front of her pretending to care, or that her mother had let him in. Lyra pushed through the exit gates and stepped outside the temple walls. A wind swept through the open valley, cool and sharp. Tall crystals grew from the ground like trees, humming quietly as if they sensed her fury. She raised her hand. A nearby stone shattered into dust. Her breath trembled. She didn't want to cry. Not again. "Why now?" she whispered. "Why did he come now?" For years, all she had were stories, warnings. Her mother told her humans were greedy, untrustworthy, violent. Her father, whoever he was, had died or disappeared. That's what Soraya always said, and Lyra had believed her. Because believing lies is easier than living in confusion. From the shadows, a tall figure approached. It was Sereth, her mentor, a wise elder of Valeria. His skin shimmered with deep blue veins, and his voice always carried weight. "You've awakened something, child," he said. Lyra didn't turn to face him. "I didn't ask for this." "No," he said calmly, "but it was always coming. They lied to me. My mother, him, everyone." Sereth walked slowly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "What you feel is not weakness. It is truth. Truth always hurts at first." Lyra closed her eyes, said he didn't know about me. That he just found out? "Do you believe him?" She hesitated. "I don't know what to believe." In the temple, Jake stood alone. He paced the quiet hall, staring at a glowing sculpture of the Valerian system. 3 stars, 7 moons, and 1 lost daughter. Soraya returned, her expression cold. "She's gone. Again," Jake sighed. "I didn't expect her to welcome me with open arms." Soraya crossed her arms. "She's powerful, Jake. More than you realize. Her emotions, they affect her abilities." "Tell me something." "Why did you hide her from me?" Soraya looked away. Her voice softened. "Because the galaxy wasn't safe. For her, for you, for what we created." Jake stepped forward. "You should have told me." "And what would you have done?" she asked. "Raised her on a battlefield? Let her be hunted?" "Humans fear what they don't understand." Jake shook his head. "I would have tried." Soraya turned toward him, her eyes glistening faintly. "She doesn't need your guilt. She needs your strength." Outside, Lyra reached the cliffs of the valley. She stood on the edge, staring at the twin moons above. Her hands glowed with unstable energy. Sparks flickered between her fingers. "If he really is my father," she muttered, "then what am I? Not fully human, not fully Valerian. A hybrid, a mistake, a weapon." The thoughts clawed at her mind. Suddenly, she heard a voice. "You train alone now, Jake?" She spun around. "I said stay away." He raised his hand slowly. "I'm not here to fight you. I wanted to see you." "Listen, even." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "Listen to what?" "More lies." "No," Jake said. "To you." She didn't expect that. "You really want to know how I feel?" she asked bitterly. Jake nodded. "Yes, even if it hurts." Lyra's eyes flickered. "Fine." She stepped forward, her voice sharp like ice. "I hate humans. They fear anything different. They destroy what they can't control. They come to other planets, wave flags, make promises, then leave chaos. Behind, I've seen it. And you're just one of them." Jake took a breath. "You're right." Lyra blinked. She wasn't expecting him to agree. "Humans have done terrible things," Jake said. "So have Valerians. So has everyone. But what matters now is what you do." "You think I'm some kind of savior?" she snapped. "No," Jake said. "I think you're someone who's been lied to. Someone who deserves to choose who she becomes." Lyra's hands were still glowing, but her expression softened, just slightly. "What if I choose to destroy you right now?" she whispered. Jake didn't flinch. "Then do it. But just know, I came because I wanted to meet my daughter, even if she hates me." There was silence, and then Lyra turned away. "You're not what I expected," she said softly. Jake smiled sadly. "You're exactly what I hoped for." Suddenly, the sky above them flashed red. A loud boom echoed across the valley. "What was that?" Lyra gasped. Jake turned toward the temple. "They've arrived." Asterisk, in orbit above Valeria. The human military ship locked onto the planet. Inside, a masked officer stared at a glowing monitor. "Target HYB001 has been confirmed. Begin the extraction." Dozens of black pods launched toward the surface, silent and fast. On board each one, armed soldiers. Their orders: capture the hybrid, terminate all resistance. Asterisk, the sky was burning. Flashes of red light tore through the clouds above Valeria, casting sharp shadows across the mountains and valleys. Strange hum filled the air, deep, mechanical, growing louder by the second. Lyra stood on the cliffside with Jake, eyes wide, staring into the sky. "What is that?" she whispered. Jake's expression darkened. "Drop pods. Military. Yours." Jake shook his head slowly. "No, I didn't call them, but they followed me, which means they've been watching for a long time." "You're here for me?" Lyra said coldly. Jake didn't deny it. "Why?" she snapped. "What do they want from me?" Down, unable to meet her eyes. "Because you're not just rare, Lyra. You're the only one of your kind, human and Valerian. That makes you powerful and dangerous." Back at the temple, alarms screamed from glowing walls. Valerian guards scrambled, preparing defenses. Soraya stood before the great gates, her eyes burning with fury. She already knew what this was. She had warned the High Council for years. The humans would come, not for peace, yet for unity, but for control. Jake and Lyra rushed back through the valley, dodging low-flying shadows. The black pods hit the ground like comets, opening with sharp hisses. Out stepped soldiers in black exosuits, each one carrying weapons designed to take down alien targets. They moved with precision, fast, silent, deadly. Lyra's powers sparked around her hands. Jake grabbed her arm. "Don't fight unless you have to." "We're not ready. I'm not running," she snapped. "I'm not asking you to run. I'm asking you to live." Inside the temple's heart, the inner chamber sealed tight. Soraya stood with Sereth and the last few Valerian elders. "They want the girl," one elder said. "We should give them nothing." "She's not a weapon," Soraya growled. "She is my daughter." "Half human," another elder spat. "We warned you what that would bring." "You warned me she'd be hunted," Soraya said. "You never said she'd be alone." Jake and Lyra made it to the temple doors. As they began to close, the guards hesitated before letting them in. Jake was still a human, still a question mark in their eyes. But Lyra shouted, He's with me." Those 3 words stopped the guards cold. Jake heard them, and he'd never forget them. "He's with me." Inside the main hall, Lyra turned sharply. "Enough running. No more half-truths. No more secrets." She pointed at Jake. "You tell me. Everything right now." Jake looked around. Everyone was watching. He nodded. "All right." He stepped forward, slowly. 18 years ago, I was sent here as part of a peace mission. I met your mother, and something happened. Something real, but I never knew she was pregnant. I never knew you existed." Lyra crossed her arms. "She says she told you." In a message, Jake nodded. 3 days ago. That was the first time I heard. "So you believe her now?" "Yes, because when I look at you, I see her and I see me." Lyra's expression shifted. Her eyes glistened. "But you left." Voice dropped. "I didn't leave you. I didn't even know you were alive. If I had, I would have been here." Lyra blinked quickly, but the tears betrayed her. "All my life I felt broken, like I didn't belong to either world." Jake's voice was soft. "You weren't broken. You were hidden. To protect you?" "Protect me from what?" she asked. "From love. From knowing who I am." Jake looked at her, his eyes full of guilt. "From people like them," he pointed. "Upward toward the human warship descending over the planet. I'll twist your power, use it, lock you away and call it science." "Then why are you here?" she asked. "Why did you really come?" Jake stepped forward. Closer than he ever had. "Because when I found out you existed, something changed in me. I thought I had nothing left, but I was wrong. I had you." A long silence fell over the room. Lyra's breathing slowed. Her hands stopped glowing for the first time. She didn't feel anger. She felt seen. But the moment shattered in a flash of smoke and gunfire. An explosion rocked the front gate. Soldiers burst through in waves, dark armor, glowing weapons, no hesitation. The Valerian guards formed a wall. Jake grabbed Lyra's hand. "Stay with me," Soraya shouted from the far wall, opening a hidden exit. "Take her, now." And Lyra ran, slipping into the passage just as the fighting began. The walls shook. Blasts echoed behind them. Valerian screams mixed with metal. Roars. Lyra turned to Jake, her voice shaking. "What are we going to do?" Jake looked straight ahead. "We're going to survive, then we're going to fight back." Back. Inside the temple, one of the soldiers raised his cum. "Primary. Target escaped, but we found something else." He turned a corner and stared at Soraya, now captured. She looked up, bruised but unbroken. "You have no idea what you've started." The soldier smiled under his helmet. "We're just getting started." The ground trembled as the last echo of the explosion faded. Smoke billowed across the valley, turning the once bright sky into a haze of shadow and fire. The air smelled of burning stone and plasma. Far behind the mountains, the Valerian temple was no longer whole. Its towers had crumbled, its walls torn apart by the invading force, through a narrow gorge hidden beneath. The cliffs, Jake and Lyra ran. Their footsteps pounded against the metallic path carved long ago by the Valerian ancients. They didn't speak. They couldn't. Every second counted. Every breath could be the last before a drone spotted them. Behind them, the hum of engines grew louder. Black dropships scanned the terrain like metal vultures. Soldiers moved through the forests in silence, trained to track anything that bled or breathed in front of them. Only fog and uncertainty. Lyra's hands still pulsed with energy, faint and uneven. Her powers hadn't returned fully since the last surge. Her emotions, rage, confusion, fear, kept swirling inside her like a storm. She glanced at Jake, who now carried a small blade at his side and a stolen cum scanner clipped to his belt. They reached a narrow cave entrance, half hidden by crystal growths. Jake knelt and pressed his palm to the wall. The stone shimmered, recognizing old Valerian tech embedded under his skin from his first mission long ago. The door opened silently, revealing a hidden refuge, a safe house built beneath the cliffs. Inside, the light was low and warm. Ancient machines hummed faintly. It was dry, quiet, safe for now. Jake sealed the door and collapsed against a wall, breathing hard. Lyra stood near the center of the chamber, her eyes locked on a glowing display showing a red dot blinking over the temple ruins. She knew what it meant. They had taken her mother. She didn't cry. Not anymore. She simply stared. Jake rose and moved toward a console. His fingers worked fast. They're tracking your biosignature. The moment you use your powers, they see it. That's why they're so quick. Lyra didn't respond. She knew this might happen, he added. That's why she kept you hidden, not because she didn't love you, but because she wanted to give you time. Lyra finally turned to face him. Her voice was steady but low. They didn't come for her. They came for me. He nodded slowly. They don't understand what you are, what you could become, so they do what they always do: control, cage, study. She stepped closer to the wall, watching the scanner blink. I should turn myself in, she said. No. Jake's voice cracked through the air like a whip. That's exactly what they want. They'll break you, dissect you, turn you into something you're not. I'm already something I don't understand, she snapped back. I'm not like them. I'm not like you. I'm nothing. Jake stepped closer, eyes burning with determination. You're not nothing. You're the only thing that's real to me anymore. Silence filled the room again, heavy and sharp. Outside, a faint vibration rattled the rocks. Another pod had landed nearby. Lyra looked toward the exit. I won't run forever. Jake nodded. No one said anything about running. He tapped the console and opened a hidden compartment in the floor. Inside, weapons, armor, encrypted data chips, a pulse emitter, all smuggled out of military stations years ago. Lyra reached down and picked up a blade knot like the ones human soldiers carried, but a hybrid weapon, Valerian energy fused with earth steel. Jake watched her. She moved like a soldier. No hesitation, no fear. They trained you? He asked quietly. They tried, and did you let them? No, she said. I trained myself. Another rumble shook the cave. A sharp alarm beeped from the console. They were here. Jake pulled on the armored chest plate, powered up the emitter, and loaded the energy rounds. Lyra didn't wait for a plan. She walked to the door. Jake followed. As they stepped into the canyon again, the sky had turned dark violet. The moonlight reflected off the black armor of the incoming strike team. Lyra looked up at them, fists glowing brighter with each breath. For the first time, she didn't try to suppress it, and the soldiers hesitated. Jake took position beside her. Weapon drawn, heart steady. I'm not hiding anymore, she said, voice calm, from the line of soldiers. A voice called out, Hybrid specimen, you are ordered to surrender. Your mother is alive. For now. Jake tensed. Lyra tilted her head slightly. And if I don't, then she dies, the soldier said. A long pause. Then Lyra stepped forward and raised her hand. The air around her shimmered. You picked the wrong daughter, she said, and the sky split open in light. Asterisk, the blast wave hit like thunder wrapped in fire. Soldiers were thrown off their feet, crashing into rocks and metal with sharp cracking sounds. The canyon floor lit up in shifting colors: blue, violet, gold, as Lyra's energy exploded outward in a radiant shockwave. Dust and sparks filled the air, and in the center of it all, she stood perfectly still, not afraid, not angry. Ready, Jake emerged from the dust cloud, coughing hard, but alive. He looked up and saw her arms glowing, hair lifted by an unseen wind, eyes burning bright with purpose. His heart clenched. She was no longer the confused girl from the temple. She had become something else, something powerful, something whole. Asterisk, the soldiers tried to regroup, barking orders through fractured coms. Drones whirred above, targeting systems relocking onto her signature. A second wave began to drop from orbit, more men, more weapons. But this time they weren't coming for capture, they were coming for elimination. Jake raised his blaster. We hold them here, long enough to get you off-world. Lyra didn't even turn her head. I'm not leaving, Lyra. If I run now, I'll be running forever. That ends today. Jake stood beside her, tightening the grip on his. weapon. Then we end it together. In the chaos, Soraya's voice broke through the static. A weak signal on Jake's cracked comm unit. She's still alive, Jake whispered. Soraya was being held aboard the orbiting warship locked in a containment cell. Guarded but not yet silenced. The military hadn't expected this much resistance. They hadn't expected her. Jake looked at Lyra. If we take the field station, we can hijack their orbital link. We'll trigger the emergency override and pull her down. Lyra nodded. Let's do it. They moved fast, cutting through the lower ranks with precision. Jake fought like a man with nothing left to lose. Every blast fired with conviction. Lyra, on the other hand, was unstoppable. Her hybrid powers warped the battlefield. She moved through air like it was water, bending light, warping gravity. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Some ran. Others weren't lucky enough to try. At the core of the military encampment, the uplink tower pulsed with energy. Jake reached it first, sliding across the control deck. Overriding the encryption codes. Emergency beam down, he muttered. Slot 9, prisoner hold. The screen lit green dot in the sky above. A flaming streak descended rapidly. A pod broke through the clouds, shields flickering, heat trailing like a comet. It crashed near the canyon's edge, kicking up debris. The hatch hissed open. Soraya stepped out, limping, blood on her face. Eyes fierce. She locked eyes with Lyra, and for the first time in years, mother and daughter saw each other through truth. Lyra ran to her. They embraced, trembling, breaking down wordlessly. No need for apologies, no need for explanations. Just presence. But the reunion didn't last long. A final warning echoed through the air. All remaining units. Order 7-1-4. Terminate the hybrid. From the ridge above, a new force emerged. Heavily armored units with rail cannons and disruption fields. These were not soldiers. These were executioners. Jake stepped forward, shielding both Soraya and Lyra. This ends now, he growled. No, Lyra said. It begins now. She stepped between them and the firing line, hands open. Energy humming louder than ever. The first shot came. Time slowed. Lyra caught the blast midair, bending it like wind around her body. Another shot redirected, a third absorbed. The soldiers didn't understand. Their weapons meant nothing here, not anymore. Lyra walked forward, her power growing, spreading into the earth beneath her feet. Cracks lit with golden veins. The air grew hot, sky changed color. Valeria responded to her like it recognized her, like it accepted her, and in that moment, she changed everything. No violence, no more death, just power control. She raised both hands, and every weapon in the canyon shut down. Lights died. Engines collapsed. Drones fell from the sky like dead insects. Silence, Jake stepped beside her, watching the soldiers retreat, throwing down their weapons, eyes wide with awe. They weren't looking at a threat anymore. They were looking at something more. A bridge between worlds. Later, when the dust had settled and the night finally fell over the valley, Lyra stood quietly with her parents. Jake looked at her with quiet pride. You didn't just survive today. You became what they all feared. She smiled faintly. And what was that? He answered softly. Free. The three of them stood beneath Valeria's triple moonlight. No longer running, no longer hiding. Just standing together. Imperfect, powerful, and finally whole. The war didn't win. The system didn't win. They did together. The stars above shimmered, and somewhere in the black earth was still watching. But tonight, Valeria had a new legend. One born from a forbidden union. One shaped by fire, lies, and blood. One they would never forget. Her name was Lyra, and she was no one's weapon. She was her own. The end.